All right, hello, wine drinking people. Today is Wednesday, the 11th of December, and man, it has started out to be a really good year already. It's been crazy busy in the store. We've got a sold out best of tasting coming up the end of this week, a Chateau Latour tasting to talk about from Saturday night, and what I drank yesterday of killer wines. Well, hey, we've got a Chateau Latour tasting coming up on the 17th of February. We did a Chateau Latour tasting last year in January, going back to 1928. Some fabulous wines. I included the notes from that in our email today. You want to check out how those wines tasted, and then a 9-year vertical of Chateau Latour to talk to you about today. And, hey man, we've got a lot of Chateau Latour in the store available for sale. And hey, 2010 vintage, over $1,000 a bottle. Most of this stuff, less than that. Some of it, half of that. And ready to drink right now, as you'll see. All right, well, thanks to Harvey and Jean Scwartz. What an incredible tasting these guys put on. 5 years ago, they did the same thing, and I think 10 years ago, did that before that. You know, hey, the older we get, I always say, drink the good stuff first. And I said, Harvey, let's do this in 2 years. Let's not wait another 5 years, but we're going to do it in another month here also. All right, well, the first wine, the wine of the night to me, the 1982 Dom Perignon out of Magnum. Wow, man, I was really excited to see a Magnum, but Dom Perignon out of Magnum, 82, a legendary vintage. This wine was ice cold when I got there, and man, when it warmed up, it was just incredible by the end of the night. Really lovely kind of candied quince and toffee, mushroom, candy pear, really exotic bouquet. And like I said, at the end of the night, as this got warm, man, it got this lovely butterscotch nuance. And wines out of Magnum, as I said, seem to have more concentration and richness as well as being fresher as they get old. All right, well, that was killer. 1953, well, the Scwartzes did something that was really fun. They served all the wines blind. They mixed the order up, so we didn't have any idea, what vintage these were. There wasn't really great lighting in the house either, so it was a little difficult kind of to see the color. But I said if I can't pick out the oldest wine and the youngest wine, I'm going home and I'm changing professions after this one. And the 53, a legendary, a great vintage, not a legendary one. This one's not even rated in Parker, but it was a really good vintage throughout Europe, and this wine was really nice, but definitely lighter in color than all the other ones. I immediately picked that one out, and then the 2001, the darkest of the two. But hey, man, the rest of the wines were not very easy. The 53, really, apparently the old dog in the bunch. You could tell this light kind of dried red cherry, little mushroom and dried tobacco spice, hints of toffee and caramel nuance on the nose. Really light and savory on the palate, but still delicious. The 53 was several people's favorite wine of the night. The 1962, man, the fruit was starting to fade in this wine. That's what I put in my notes, but I didn't pick it as the 62. The color on all the other wines was somewhat similar, especially when you got in the middle of the pack there. Really hard to tell, but man, I thought this was a testament to how great the 62 vintage is. Outstanding vintage, still drinking nicely today. Some gravelly, minerally notes, smoky, and wine had a lovely, silky, smooth texture and still some nice fruit there, and possibly some tannins to resolve. The 1970 showing a bit of a brick around the rim, and I guessed it was the 78. Both wines kind of impressive, but 70 should have been more impressive than 78. Definitely a better vintage. A bit musty on the nose, hints of toffee, fresh earth, dried tobacco spice, and red berry fruit. Still a nice balance and good freshness to this wine. Drinking at its peak right now. Excellent. 1978, I went from 1995 because of the wine's austerity to 1989 because of how smooth and drinkable it was, and really didn't pay close enough attention to the lack of concentration in this wine, which is what really would have evidently helped me pick it out as the 78, known as the Miracle Vintage. It got hot at the end, but these wines really drinking past their prime. Pretty nose, dried earth and tobacco, herbal nuance there, light red cherry fruit, but nicely balanced. A really good bottle of wine still to this day. The 1989, man, I immediately thought this was the 62. It was so smooth and silky on the tongue. Red currant berry fruit was the clue here that this wine was quite a bit younger. Still drinking at its peak, and really nice wine. Smooth, velvety tannins in this. Could last another decade or two. Classic lead pencil there, nuance on the nose. Lovely freshness and balance on the finish. A really classy wine. The 1990, this should have been the blockbuster in the bunch. 100-point wine. Thought this wine was the 1999. The 2001, those were my two favorite wines in the lineup. And man, I mistook it for a bit younger Latour, but immensely impressive wine. Still quite young. Lovely black cherry and currant berry fruit, truffle, some graphite mineral notes there on the nose as well. That classic pencil lead you get from Pauillac. Noticeable tannins in this one, but still lovely, a velvety feel on your palate. Still has years to go. Most excellent juice. The 1995. This was one that I got after a few people suggested it could have been the 95, and I said yes, absolutely. It's not the 90 like I thought at first, but a very impressive wine still, and lovely fresh gravel, pencil lead minerality there. A bit of animal tobacco spice there shown, that red currant and cassis berry fruits. Lovely savoriness to the 95. Still has this austerity to it, and a long finish. Really most excellent juice. The 1999 and 2001, two very young wines, and this is the current era of Chateau Latour, where you have Francois Pinot took over in 1993, and these wines have just gotten better and better. And in off vintages, they can make much better wine now in Bordeaux because cold fermentation. They couldn't control the temperature of fermentation. So if you had a great vintage and then it got hot afterwards while you're fermenting the wine, it could ruin, take away some of the aromatics. So, today there's really nothing left to chance. 1999, not considered a great vintage. This was one of the wines of the vintage. Most excellent juice. And the 2001, my wine of the night, killer Latour, the 2001. And hey, if this was not enough of a good thing, they busted out the Domaine de Zin Umbric, Selection Grain Noble, Pinot Gris, Clos Jepsal. Wow, the 2001, another killer wine. Lovely aromas of apricot, peaches, apple cider, kind of hibiscus flower, concentrated and rich, really velvety, an outstanding killer bottle of dessert wine. And then a little 1977 Taylor to finish things off. It had been open a day, but still really nice. Hey, check it out, all the Latour that we've got. Our Chateau Latour lineup coming up on February 17th, and the notes on our tasting a year ago, going back to 1928. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.